Hey everybody, Jeff King here.
And the Canadian.
The real one this time.
The actual real Canadian.
You'll find out what that means, I guess, at the end of the episode. End of the video. So we're here again with another initial impressions video. I don't have a box or anything that I can show you. Maybe I'll just do this and put an image there or something. I don't know. But we're going to be talking about End of the Line from Fight in a Box, which is on Kickstarter right now and goes through technically March 16th, if I remember right, but it's like in the morning. So visit it by March 15th, 2016 to be safe. Again, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's a post-apocalyptic game where you're basically trying...
You licked what?
I lick a lot of things. Okay. Anyway... post-apocalyptic game where you're kind of fighting for survival for your family, and everybody's trying to make their family like the last family standing, and you do so by collecting various resources, which there are lines for to get, and you don't want to be at the end of the line. So that's partially where the name comes from. This is a little bit of worker placement, a little bit of resource management, a little bit of hand management, and a bit of take that, where some of it is targeted and some of it is take that you got to decide, can I also suffer along with everybody else? Who will this hurt more? Hopefully not me. So, this is a fairly simple game, I think, to understand and grasp and play. And there's various phases. I don't know, since we don't have anything in front of me, I'm gonna butcher probably what the phases are. But there's the law phase. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a phase where everybody's gonna place laws on the different lines that are gonna affect how things happen in the line before anybody gathers resources. Then there's going to be your family placement, where you're going to put your families in the different lines, trying to strategically figure out, based on some of the cards you have, which we'll talk about in a little bit, if you can either keep them at the front of the line or get them to the front of the line or take out everybody else around you, take out massive amounts of family from other players. Yeah. So you'll place your families. And then there is basically before the food there was a calamity, so something bad happens, potentially bad happens at the very beginning of the turn, but that card also tells you what order the lines are gonna proc. So then after you've placed your families, you go into actually each line. So like, let's say we're going through the food line goes first. At the food line, we're going to look at the cards we still have left in our hand and decide which of those cards we're going to use to, again, manipulate that line or get rid of other players' families, stuff like that. Maybe get some more resources. And there's a pass card. It's kind of a little bit of almost like, not quite Robo Rally, but it's got that feel to it where everybody's kind of planning simultaneously what they're going to do. So you put all the cards that you're going to play in the order you want to play them at the top of your deck, and then you put your pass card between the cards you want to play and the cards you don't want to play, and you want to keep for other rounds, and then you'll just flip them one at a time simultaneously going around the table. And again, there's a whole lot of things that you can do there. Again, you can potentially kill other players' families. You can take resources from other players. You can make them give up resources. You can maybe gain additional resources. All kinds of things happen in those cards. And then once it's all said and done, then if there are any laws on that line, you'll proc those in order, starting basically any that are already face up, proc first, and then any that are face down will get flipped over and procced as well. And then once all that's said and done, whoever's at the front of the line gets double resources. Everybody else in the line gets one, except for if you're in the back of the line, the person at the back of the line gets nothing.
If you're at the end of the line.
End of the line. Yes.
Let's try to keep the game title going.
So that happens, and then after that is, I don't know what they call it. I mean, you go through all of the lines and proc them all, and then you get to a point where you can purchase more cards. That happened at the end, right? It's either at the end or the beginning. So you use your resources to purchase more cards because you never actually get... There's no auto draw in this game. You're not going to draw up to a certain amount of cards or anything like that. You're going to have to buy them with the resources you've collected during your turns. And the more diverse you are, the more cards you get. But if you try to spend like all of one resource, so the first time I spend water, I get one card for one water. The next time I try to spend water, I got to spend 2 water to get a card, and so on. You keep going that way. So you got to kind of manage your resources, not only for keeping your family and stuff alive at times, but for getting cards. And the most efficient way to get cards is to be able to spread out the resources as much as possible. And am I missing anything?
I think that covers all the basics.
Pretty much covers what you're going to do on your turn. So what did you think of this game?
I think it was a really solid game. Very fun. There's we didn't play with the black market, which you'll see the tile in the video behind us somewhere. But that's for more players than we had, so it's there to see, but we didn't play with it. That allows for some more trading and stuff like that. But it's very well laid out. Each tile does its own thing. You interact with each tile one at a time. The mechanics of interacting with each player or the tiles, how you're going to get your resources, how you're going to screw your neighbor, how you're going to screw the resources that your neighbor needs. It's all very elegant. It all goes together very simply, but all the cards that you're going to activate, either laws, and I'm pointing at stuff that isn't there, either the laws that you're going to play or the events that you're going to play to hose your neighbors or benefit yourself. It's a big deck of cards, so there's a lot of variety. So it's some very simple rules, simple good, but with a lot of variety and a lot of replayability due to the big deck of cards.
Right. Yeah, and you're going to spend not a significant amount of time, because typically you don't have a huge hand of cards because you just can't afford to.
Yeah.
But you're going to spend some time looking at your cards and the way the lines proc, and sometimes some cards are better to be used in a certain line, that kind of thing, so you might want to hold them. I think the other thing we forgot to kind of mention is you have your main deck that you can do, but you can also have like a defense deck off to the side, and those are optional to play as you go along. But your main deck you put in the order that you want to play them, and they'll flip in that order. Your defense deck, you'll actually, if you want to play one, you can pick it up, look through, and decide which one in your defense deck you want to play. And if you play out of your defense deck, it doesn't count as the card that you need to still flip from your main deck. So you've got some additional options as you're playing along, and only certain cards can be in your defense deck. But you have that ability of different options going on while you're kind of playing, which again makes for interesting interactions. You also got to kind of watch like the order, your turn order and all that stuff. For instance, the game that we actually are playing behind us, there was one point where I had my son, the son character, was in the line, and my first card that I was going to flip was going to allow me to get my dog out of the graveyard and back into my family, but the person that went before me killed off, I think, the male or something like that. So basically my character was gone.
That's one of the things that I do like about the game is you mentioned Robo Rally. We're all going to lay down our cards, how we want the order we want them to proc,
right? And
we all experienced it at least once. By the time you get that card flipped, you either no longer meet the requirements to do it. At one point, I had to waste all my ammo, so I couldn't kill the person I wanted to kill. Jeff couldn't get his dog back from the graveyard. There was no Stephen King going on. I think Seppi had something happen like that, too. So it's you mentioned Robo Rally, and that's kind of accurate, because you lay stuff down and then you go. You don't know if you're really going to get to do it. But the other thing is the targeting is not always in your control. There were some cards that I had that specified, a gender, all women or all men or the dog, and the dog was never in play because all the dogs were dead by that point. So I had a card that I couldn't really do anything with.
Right. Yeah, that is one of those things. But this is definitely one of those games. And the first time I played it, because I was fortunate enough to be able to play it at a Protospiel, the first time I played it, my big issue was I would read the main part of the card, think, oh, this is an awesome card, and forget the subtext, which was like, oh crap. It either also affected me, or, well, shit, this is only for women and there's no women in this line. I didn't read that far ahead. So this is definitely one of those games where you want to read the entire card to make sure you understand what it's going to. I think you had at one time that happened to you too.
Well, no, I knew I needed the bullets, but by the time...
No, not the bullet. There was another time you float and you go and you're like, oh, crap. And then, because I remember actually mentioning it during the game. Like, yeah, you really got to read the full card. Because that happened to me over and over again at Protospiel. It was like, when am I going to learn to read the entire card? Because I've screwed myself 3 times now. So when we played the other night, I was like, okay, I gotta make sure I understand why I'm putting this card in for this line. So the only time I got really screwed was when other players actually screwed me out of getting the card. Otherwise, if I played a wasted card, it was because I wanted it out of my hand. I couldn't do anything with it.
There is a 10, I think you said 10 card limit.
10 card limit.
10 card limit. I was never in danger of reaching that.
No.
You go through your cards pretty quickly,
Yes.
and you cannot buy a lot.
Resources are limited too. I mean, again, we're talking about a post-apocalyptic kind of setting, and that also plays out in the fact that if the resource is gone, it doesn't matter where you are or what card you've got, unless you can steal it from another player, you're not getting that resource. So that's something to keep in mind too. And the thing is, like, a lot of times, sometimes that'll come into play. Like if the calamity says you need to, spend fuel, or you need to spend bullets or something that you're going to have to spend at the end of the turn, suddenly everybody, those are precious, right? Because then everybody wants that, but everybody also wants to deny everybody else that thing to kind of make the calamity hurt somebody else more than it's going to hurt them. So that kind of plays in really nice, I think, with the theme on this one as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think the one thing that ties into that is when a player is eliminated, I was the first one out, their resources don't go back. Right. So there's no refilling that resources from the dead.
Yeah.
That stuff's gone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know all the crazy things that Seppi has in there, we weren't allowed to loot corpses.
It's the first expansion.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, and the other thing too, one of the things we should mention is, depending on how many families are dead or family members are dead, lines start closing down.
Oh yeah.
So I think the one that's always last to close would be water. Water's always available, but you get to a certain point, you get like 4 or 5 characters. I can't remember what the limit is right now. I think it's by number of players. So if you get that many people dead off into the graveyard and you fill up that box, the food line will close, the fuel line will close, and so suddenly there are less family members because of people being dead, but there are less lines to put them in as well. And I think that actually works really well, because as you go along, then you've got you're kind of slimming down where everybody's focused in on playing.
Makes those last 2 lines, and especially that last line, really bloody.
Right?
Because you can still, if you have the stuff as the stuff closes, if you still have the resources to buy cards, you're, instead of having 4 lines to throw 4 cards on, you have 1 line to throw 4 cards on, right. And things can get really ugly. And
I think that also kind of helps too with the one thing that you're going to have to decide for yourself. If you really don't like it, then maybe this isn't the game for you, but this does have player elimination. But I think the way the player elimination works and the fact that the lines are shrinking, I think when you get to that point, you're not really waiting that long.
No, the first half of the game, the bulk of the game, where before the first elimination, is very well balanced and everybody participates. But then once people start to die en masse and the first player is gone, then things really do happen very quickly after that.
So this is again, I'm one of those people that, we love Take That, obviously. We've said that time and time again. So that was a huge plus for this game. And again, it's not overt. It's not like in your face as much. It's very much there's some things that you can target specific people for, but a lot of things are we're hurting everybody. I'm just hoping it hurts me less. So that's nice, and we really like that. But I'm one of those people that player elimination, there's a line for me, and this one definitely doesn't cross over into, oh my God, why am I still playing this game? It's very manageable, and it's very every time I played, when I played a Protospiel, I was the first person out. I had no issue with it. It was fine. I got to sit around and watch the other people play. It didn't last that much longer, but I still kind of got to participate and have fun with people. And like Jordan said earlier, one of the other things is you can always go, hee, I know in my secret stash, I got everything you guys need, and you're never getting it back. Like if you're a food hoarder.
Yes.
Food becomes scarce for the rest of the players when that person that had all the food
died
died.
with 6 pork chops, and they had none.
So there's that. One of the things I want to point out too, the game you're seeing behind us is a prototype. It is got components in it that may or may not be part of the game. I don't know how much of the artwork is all finalized. Go check out the Kickstarter. Go see what they have going on, and see what the final product is going to look like from there. So any final words you want to wrap up this one with?
Solid game, definitely one to back.
I completely agree. Like I said, I played this at Protospiel. It was because of the Protospiel play that I talked to Seppi about coming to the Geek Compound here and getting Jordan on board. I had a strong feeling he would like it as well. So
it's like you know me.
It's like I know that you like to make me swear. So Seppi was kind enough to come down with a prototype, and we got some gameplay in, and we could do this initial impressions video. And again, the biggest reason for me as well, not only did I know that Jordan would probably like it, but I really did enjoy this game when I got to play it at Protospiel. I think it's a very solid game. Happy to see it on Kickstarter, and I agree. This is definitely one to back. It is a lot of fun. I know a lot of people that have played it. I knew a lot of people at Protospiel that played it, got to talk to them afterwards. Everybody that I'm aware of really enjoyed their time with this game. So definitely a solid game that's had a lot of time put into it, and it shows. All right, so there you go. It's on Kickstarter now, going through March, again, to be safe, March 15th. Go check it out by March 15th, 2016. And look through it. They have other reviews. You can see the gameplay video, all that kind of stuff. Go check it out. And if it looks like something that you might enjoy, please back it. All right. There you go. Thank you guys. And we'll be back very soon.
See you later.
Hey, everybody. Jeff King here. And
I'm the Canadian, eh?
who the hell are you?
Oh, that's not important. What's really important is that everybody backs end of the line on Kickstarter.
Security!
No, seriously. This is very important. This is my life. It's
what
5 years of my
life.
life.
What's going on here?
What's this? You're in my spot. You're in my spot.
I got here. Back end of the line.
Seriously, where the hell is our security?
You don't have anybody in here.
Even
Even your dogs were asleep.
Shit.